Hello there. How are you doing? I'm a little overexposed. I'm gonna back up a bit. I don't normally do unboxings here on the channel anymore. Because I don't feel they're all that entertaining. I'm not usually the first one to do them, so then at that point, what's the point, and so on. But I do like doing them when they have meaning to me or have update implications for the channel. And when I do, I go big. If you remember, November 2016-ish or December-ish was when I unboxed my new wave of 4K YouTube gear with my Panasonic G7, which I'm shooting on right now, a nice lens, some lighting and tripod stuff, and so on. Fast forward to October 2018, or November probably by the time you're watching this, and I've got a new round of stuff to unbox. Now, the most important thing that we're using at the moment that you can sort of see underneath all of this has already been unboxed and set up, and I will have a dedicated video coming on very soon, which is my new FlexiSpot sit-stand motorized desk. I have been searching for one that I could afford for months, and then FlexiSpot, I reached out to them because I had worked with them on some monitor arm reviews. I was just reaching out to a couple different companies. They responded, set me up with this, and this has already revolutionized my life when it comes to getting B-roll shots and not having to constantly adjust my tripods and things like that. So this time, we've got some really special stuff. We're gonna start with the more boring stuff first. I have been doing some studio upgrades, as many of you all have noted with my new black backdrop set, and I've been trying to further soundproof the studio. It may not sound like it at the moment because I'm recording in the least soundproofed corner of the studio. And with that, for the first time since 2014, because I bought so much back then, I had to buy more sound foam. By the way, I have this really cool keychain knife that my wife got me for my birthday, and it's been very handy for unboxing things. All right, so traditionally I buy the black and blue sound foam kits off of Amazon when I need sound foam, because black and blue are some nice colors. Blue's one of my favorite colors, and it looks nice, and I wanted to keep them all matching. However, this kit was like 48 something tiles for cheaper than the like 12 tile kits that I was normally buying. And so I will have a link to it on Amazon, probably US only Amazon, in the description below if it's still active. But I got this whole massive thing for like 20 or 30 something dollars. Now, if I can get the darn thing open, it is thinner foam, so it arguably won't be as high quality. Like, this foam is much thinner. It's not gonna absorb as much, but it will still help do the job. Now, before you go check out that link, I always get questions whenever I mention sound foam of people wanting a recommended kind or whatever, and again, this flimsy stuff isn't necessarily what I would always recommend. The issue is that sound foam isn't always the answer. I'm actually gonna have a dedicated video about how I've been soundproofing, sound treating my studio space in here, because it involves more than just plastering these on the walls everywhere. It involves some other stuff and sound blankets and things like that. And you gotta make the right choice for the space that you're in and the goal that you're trying to achieve. So I needed this for some specific spots, mainly the ceiling, to be honest. But I wanna make that clear that it doesn't work for everyone. All right, let's get this out of the way for now. I don't even know where to put it. And in case you can't tell by how terrible this setup probably is, another reason I don't do unboxings very much is the setup process to get everything together is a lot, even for my new apartment space. It just takes up a lot of space. It's really messy. I'll get some phone video of it after I'm done shooting here. I meant to get it before of what it looks like, but completely destroys my normal set and then makes this quite messy. So I don't think I can really unbox anything else without spoiling everything. So we're gonna go straight for the big thing, I guess. Amazon now has Jack Ryan advertisements on their product boxes, or their shipping boxes, which there isn't anything inherently wrong with. They were using the tape to advertise stuff in the past, but it's just funny like how hard they're pushing the show. And I mean, it's been out all year, and I'm guessing it hasn't gotten a whole lot of traffic. I wound up watching it. It actually isn't a bad show. It takes itself seriously for what it is, which a lot of people may not like, but I actually wound up quite enjoying it. This isn't like a sponsored spot or anything like that. They're not paying me for this. I just like watching shows. All right, this massive box is all one thing as it covers my face there. This is a set. Please don't remove any contents from this box. Oh, I am so excited, and I've never been more terrified of a purchase decision in my life. I am making specific decisions for me based on an entire year worth of research and planning. Keyboard warriors do not always know better than everyone else. I did not think this setup through. I'm basically up against the wall here, as you can tell by that shadow, and makes it difficult to put things places once I am done with them. All right, so we have a giant monolithic box here. Make sure we're in frame up here. By the way, if you're curious what I'm filming with, since I'll show the behind the scenes, I've got my Panasonic G7 with the wide angle lens right up here. It keeps getting overexposed because of how much light I need. I do apologize, whatever. I've got my Aputure C120D key light. I've got a cheap newer LED panel as a second light. I am going blind looking at them. I've got my Atomos Ninja Inferno as my monitor and main camera recorder. I've got my Sennheiser MKH416 hooked up to my Mix Pre 3 audio recorder over here. And then I have a big giant C-stand with my Canon 6D Mark II up above since it has that lovely dual pixel autofocus. Say hello, dual pixel autofocus. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Let's see what the hell's in here. It's time for another Epos box. I am pumped, man. So pumped. Well, now you see what it is. Whew. Honestly, going from big shipping box to big container box to little product box, it's a lot smaller than I expected. In fact, the product box is smaller than the battery box for it. But for those of you who haven't picked up on what it is, let's get this stuff out of here. And it's not actually a bad thing either, because I was really worried about how big this camera would be, and not as big as I thought. This is the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K cinema camera. Yeah! I am so freaking hyped for this. So I got this, Amazon had a bundle with two 98 watt-hour V-mount batteries and the V-mount power kit for the camera, because I'm not always going to want it plugged into a wall, and I do not have any V-mount batteries, as I've already discussed on the channel. They're fairly expensive compared to other power solutions for some of the stuff that I deal with, but holy crap. All right, so let's get into the camera box, I guess. So this came out, actually they've had a few renditions of this at this point. It's not the newest camera in the world. This is a further revision of their Ursa Mini 4.6K, Ursa Pro, or normal Ursa camera line. It is Blackmagic's kind of documentary cinema style film camera. And I have been researching and deliberating between a choice of this for the entire year. In fact, I first wanted this camera, well, I wanted the original Mini, back when Brandon Lee over at Linus Tech Tips actually posted his review of it. It looked really nice, it seemed to fit my workflow, it had good quality recording options, and I wound up not going, or, well, I wasn't in a position to buy such a big camera right now, and I'm arguably not at this point. But I have been debating, especially on Twitter, you guys have seen it, between this and the Canon C200, and I wound up going with this. That's really cool. So they have your little welcome packet, and the software and manual is on a SD card. It's really handy. That's really neat. And then, of course, which is something I forgot about until like yesterday, I think, I actually get a full copy on another SD card and an activation card. They don't do dongles anymore, of the full studio version of DaVinci Resolve. This one comes with 14, but it'll activate up to 15 and whatever newer versions. They don't charge for updates, which is pretty cool. Now, I've been asked and pestered a lot about switching to DaVinci Resolve for editing videos. The issue is DaVinci Resolve is not a complete package with regards to production. It's not a full-fledged audio recorder editor, ASIO digital audio workstation. It's not a full replacement for After Effects, although supposedly the Fusion stuff is pretty cool. It's not a replacement for Photoshop. It's not a replacement for Adobe Media Encoder. So I don't think I'm in a position to truly switch anytime soon, even if I start using Resolve more, which I may have to for the new Blackmagic RAW codec, because it's not supported in Premiere yet. But I'm certainly trying to try it out. I keep running into major hitches whenever I try Resolve with regards to like core functionality that I rely on day to day just not working, like audio syncing. It seems to have the two-step, two-click audio syncing merge files that Premiere Pro has, and yet I can never get it to work. And then why would I continue editing my video if I can't sync up my separate microphone? Little things like that. All right, so we are in the box. Holy crap. We have right here, just in the front, the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro. This thing is a beast. Ooh. I am so freaking stoked. This thing is a monster of a camera. It comes with the grip already attached. So you have this beast of a camera body. It has multiple threaded tabs for attaching points for quick release pads or cages or what have you on the top and the bottom. It has a nice grip. There's a crap load of buttons and controls. There is a dedicated screen that even rotates a little bit. It does not flip out, however. On here, I will cover all of this whenever I do a review. It's even got they call it a high quality one. I don't trust it too much, but they have a built-in microphone for scratch audio, which is really important. You wouldn't think that's important for a cinema camera, but using cameras that don't transmit audio into the recording of some sort does make it all that much harder to actually sync up. This thing is awesome. I'm so stoked. It has SDI out, which can run to the Atomos Shogun Inferno, but not the Ninja Inferno. So I actually have picked up here a micro converter from SDI to HDMI, but this only does 1080p, but so I could use my Ninja Inferno as a monitor. Hopefully that will work for the time being, and then at some point I will want to switch from the Ninja to the Shogun. I mentioned that in my review that I kind of wish I went with the Shogun in the first place. However, not really in a position to do that right now, given how expensive this was. And then you have the interchangeable lens mount. Mine, of course, is EF mount to start. I thought it would be smart to start transitioning to EF lenses, especially since I have a 60 Mark II, which is already EF mount. So I'm gonna start doing that, and then at some point I may even pick up a speed booster for the G7 so I can use my lenses across them. And then also in the box you get the power supply, which I'm not too worried about right now. Oh, that's so cool. All right, so we're gonna set this to the side for a moment because we are not done yet. I already showed you micro converter, not gonna bother opening that up right now. Just converts SDI, which is a more professional video transmit signal. It supports much higher bandwidths than HDMI and converts it to HDMI. And then we got the V-mount battery kit. Now this comes with it comes with two batteries, it comes with a charger for them, and then it actually comes with the battery plate connector box for the camera itself, because by default you can't just plug these batteries on. I'm just making a huge pile of garbage back here. So we have the V-mount adapter plate for the camera. And then it does only say Ursa and Ursa Mini. It should still work. And we have two 98 watt-hour batteries, which will be fun to play with for, honestly, a lot of stuff that takes V-mount batteries. And then the biggest thing in this box, oddly enough, is the charger, which is cool. This thing comes really well protected. No wonder. This thing is a beast. It has foldable flip-out feet. So you can stand it up, charge both batteries at once, plug it into either 4-pin XLR power or standard 3-pin like PC power cable. And you can choose whether it's a DC out supply or a charger. And that thing's a beast. All right, that's pretty cool. But no one cares about batteries, so we're gonna move on. I think it's cool. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna bury myself behind this table here, and then I'm gonna have no way to escape. All right, well, since this one was already unboxed because I was playing with it with my 60 Mark II, I picked up two lenses to start with this camera, which is only two lenses that I have at all, which will be a little funky for a little bit, but my budget can only stretch so far when I'm already putting some of this on credit. I picked up the Sigma 18-35 f1.8 lens, which is apparently a big standard everyone has always recommended. I've never picked up. About time. It is not a full frame lens though, so I only get the like 22-ish to 35 on my 60 Mark II as usable range, because otherwise it just vignettes out and gets a little circle because it's not a full frame lens. It'll work fine on the Super 35 sensor here. But I picked up another lens that I am really excited for, and you can thank Caleb over at DSLR Video Shooter for this specific dent in my wallet, because he showed off this lens a few months ago maybe, and I have been wanting it all summer for pictures if nothing else, but I will be super stoked to use it in video as well. This was a good excuse to pick it up. Urgh. This is the Laowa wide macro lens. Now, that doesn't seem to make sense. It is a 15mm f4 lens. It is a shift lens, not a tilt and shift lens, but just the shift lens. Comes with a lens hood and the lens itself. Now, I did get the Sigma lens used. It came with the protective pouch, but otherwise it was used, but it's still in great condition. Used glass is always the way to go if you're trying to save money. I did not find this particular bad boy used. But so this thing is a 15mm wide angle lens, but it can also focus right up on top of the lens for macro shots. And then it has this shift functionality, which I am not going to try to mess with right now because I've honestly never used a shift lens. But basically, you can take a picture of something right on top of the lens and still have a wide field of view behind that for some really creative and cool shots that I am super stoked to experiment with, on top of the fact that it does some weird shift stuff. So I'm excited to experiment with that. That's going to be a lot of fun, especially for some of the smaller products I review. Always looking for more creative ways to show it off, and I have been watching that video from DSLR Video Shooter for a few months over and over, and I couldn't resist. All right, we're almost done here with most of this stuff. Here we have an important factor in my decision making, which was kind of almost nulled out at first, which is the Blackmagic Ursa Mini SSD recorder. This is an official product. For a long time, there were only third-party solutions, because by default, this camera records to SD UHS 2 cards, standard, and CFast 2.0, as does the Canon C200. It only records like the full 4K ProRes and RAW and stuff to CFast 2.0. Those cards are highway robbery. They are insanely expensive. I'm gonna avoid picking it up as long as possible. I will eventually have to get one most likely, or want to at some point. Get another welcome kit, no fancy SD card with a manual on it because you don't need it. But Blackmagic actually started offering their own custom SSD recorder for the camera. So you can use full fat-fledged words. You can use full 2.5-inch solid state drives to record to, which can go up to, terabytes and enable much longer record times within the camera instead of recording to those CFast cards, which for like 30 minutes of recording could be like $500. So it comes with a mounting plate and the actual adapter itself. I believe it goes between the battery plate and the camera. It uses 6G SDI and is actually just controlled by the camera. So you hit record on the camera, it starts recording to these, no crazy out looping or anything like that. So I'm excited for that because the SSDs should be able to support the full RAW, Blackmagic RAW, ProRes, everything. And for that, I picked up, for now, because I'm cheap and I was already spending so much money, I picked up the SanDisk Ultra 3D NAND 1TB SSD. Has worked well for me in my, well, the Samsung 850 Pro has worked well for me in my Ninja Inferno. This has worked well for me in other applications. Hopefully it's enough. I will report back if it's not, but this is pretty much as high as SATA SSDs can go in write speeds, so it should be fine. And this will allow me to get some cool recordings done, and I am super stoked. I mentioned that it was a deciding factor for me. There is a third-party adapter, much like the one for the Ursa Mini Pro for the C200, which basically plugs into 2 CFast slots and translates that to an SSD and records that way. And so you can get a third-party adapter for the C200. It's a little janky, not a fan of the solution, and C200 RAW files just perform like total complete ass on Windows. Not something I want to deal with. It just performs really, really badly. The only major selling point that was keeping me considering the C200 was the dual pixel autofocus, which I have right here on my 6D Mark II, and I've used for some videos on the channel lately, and that has actually been a wonderful experience. I didn't think it was all that serious before, but it's been very handy, and it's led me to using my 6D Mark II a lot more than I thought I would have. But for this kind of camera, I really don't think I'm going to need it. I'm not going to rely on it. If I'm doing something vloggy where I need it, I'm probably using the 6D or my G7 anyway, so I don't see it as being worth it. All right, so I picked up this small rig handle for the camera as well. It was recommended and it said it fit, but I don't think it's actually gonna fit on it now. So I may be returning this and picking up the, like, gun stock style handle. Yeah, like, I don't even know where this is supposed to screw. What a terrible recommendation. I could, like, yeah, okay. So I bought this really nice feeling, but very small rig handle. I was skeptical of it when I paid for it, or when I ordered it, and now that I see it, it's not going to work. So that's getting returned, and I'm switching handles. By the way, this Sigma 18-35, I forgot to mention, it was always the cliche YouTuber recommendation with everyone having like Panasonic GH4s and even RED cameras and things like that. And I always thought it was a ridiculous, well, I didn't think it was ridiculous. I didn't understand the point of the recommendation. Like I didn't value glass back then as much as I do now. And just using this on my 6D Mark II for some pictures and a couple video clips, despite not being able to use the full range, it is a beautiful lens. The character to it, the style you can get from it, all looks really, really nice. All right, so we have the camera here. My parents are actually in Greece taking some pictures of some really cool stuff. And so I'm house sitting and dog sitting for my family. And they have a really nice backyard that I just got married in a couple weeks ago. And I want to go get some nice video of it. Experiment with this bad boy. So I think that covers it. New camera, 4.6K. Records in RAW if I wanted to, otherwise records in ProRes. It's a Super 35 sensor. I've run into nothing but limitations, even in the bigger studio room after we moved, with the Micro Four Thirds sensor on my Panasonic G7 cameras. Even the Zcam E2, because it is so cropped in, it is very difficult to get a nice angle that is not just super wide zoomed in on me to get any sort of decent depth of field. I've been struggling, especially with product shots and those Rokinon lenses I bought. And I've been using my 6D Mark II more than than my G7 a lot of the times because the full frame was just that much easier to work with. But fear not, this doesn't mean I'm even going to use this full time just yet. It will take some learning time, of course, and obviously it's a much bigger and beefier setup, so it will take a lot to set it up in the first place. So my G7s will have use as B cams. I have one mounted as a webcam that's going to stay there. I think I just found a new use for the Zcam. Anyway, so I'm not done using them. They're not going away anytime soon, but I'm super stoked to see what I can do with this. And I believe my white balance has been horrible this entire video for this part of my video. I do apologize, but thank you so much for watching, guys. This is crazy. I'm terrified. I'm excited. Holy crap. It's here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.